it would just be nice to see them push to the next bit.
Told you they were here. Told you they were cheering. Told you they were ready for Max as well. In FP3, he was half a second clear of Valtteri Bottas. Lewis Hamilton had his last flying lap time deleted. Would still have been a 4/10 advantage if it stood.
Yeah, that kind of...
That will be something of a disappointment to Pierre Gasly and to AlphaTauri on the medium compound tyre. Not the only ones to try the mediums in this first part of qualifying, and comfortably on the left-hand side of the red and white curve. As long as you've got some sort of contact with that red and white curve, you're absolutely okay. Vettel and Stroll also on the medium compound tyres, and Yuki Tsunoda, Gasly's AlphaTauri teammate. So the
line speed all weekend long. Last time out, they complained about the straight line deficit. And a quick line about Aston Martin. Both drivers, as you mentioned, on the medium tyres. They have a big upgrade this weekend, Crofty. Barge boards, floor and a wing. And that car has been working very well. Both drivers very happy with the balance this morning in free practice.
Just to pick up on what Karun was saying, Mercedes maybe taking downforce off, maybe changing the rake of the car. They had Floviz paint on the rear diffuser, on the barge boards yesterday, seeing if the flow structure was staying attached to where it was. I asked Toto Wolff in an interview after, is it a rake? And he just smiled. So I guess they're trying to take that floor to the uncomfortable stage of giving downforce, but keeping attached.
Regulation changes this season seem to hamper more the cars that were running a low rake, all to do with the airflow around the Ricciardo struggling to his teammate. Perez, I think, is struggling to match Max.
And Perez is going to have to go again, because the likes of Stroll is on a set of medium tyres, as is Vettel, and he needs to improve. Daniel Ricciardo is going to have to go again. But you can see it's all calm and collected in that garage because they're still comfortable with that time.
You might notice Charles Leclerc is now 10th fastest. He's the next one to have a lap time deleted because of exceeding track limits at turn 9. Lewis Hamilton kicks up a bit of dust going out of turn 4. Quite a few drivers have been doing that, going wide through turn 4 and really struggling to keep the car on the track.
Yeah, I'm just watching the Williams. Nicholas Latifi, he's within a tenth of what George Russell done, so it shows you how close it is. They will have time to go again, they will bolt another set of tyres on, but it's a Gasly and Ocon that's going to feel uncomfortable at the moment.
Oh, doesn't it just? Very much so, if there is more in the tank, but expect the times to change quite drastically with 3 minutes to go and one more flying run.
No one on track.
It's a short lap.
I can hear it. There's one coming out.
Who didn't get the memo that you wear orange today? The two lads with the white hats on there, standing out somewhat. But sun hats, very much the order of the day. And 53 degrees track temperature. It is rising even more. Yeah, we've seen some fashion statements this weekend.
Can I ask you what you were laughing about there,
Not at all. Just the outfit I thought was very summary.
And there's an
qualifying sessions, and it's 9 times into Q2. But for Esteban Ocon, second week running, same track, same result, out in Q1.
And his teammate, as we've talked about, is up in P3. I mean, that is worst case scenario for you, isn't it? What a job by Russell again. He squeezed through. Latifi very close, but 2.5 tenths of the difference.
Kimi Raikkonen is out, as well as happened last week here at the Red Bull Ring. He was 18th on the grid. This week it's 16th, and that's not enough for him. As for Daniel Ricciardo, he had a lap time deleted, but he is through by just a few 100ths of a second. And
you've got another chance if you're Max Verstappen or Mercedes. Or Sergio Perez used the set. I would say, and there you go, there's the yellow stripes to confirm that. And why would you do that? Because you wouldn't take the risk of the hard tyre, because there is such a difference between the top of the range compound, which is the hardest, versus the softest. And what that allows you is to have the double hard for the race, of course, if you wanted to turn it into a 2-stop race.
Now Sergio Perez going out on the medium. This is a big moment now for Sergio Perez, who's needed a soft tyre in Q2 in the last few races.
Yeah, have a crack at it. If it's good enough, it'll put you through. You can always abort the soft tyre run at the end, but absolutely the right thing to do. Listen, he's at a point where the team need to lean on him and say, Sergio, is gently pick up the throttle mid-corner, lift again to get the front end in. They were upshifting yesterday, but I don't think it was helping them with the downshift they were having to do at the corner. It was making the rear nervous, and this is where track limits, this is where you've got to leave a bit of margin, but you've got to carry the additional minimum speed to get the lap time. A little bit of understeer in that Red Bull, there was a bit there, I would say, probably a bit safe, but I would guess he'll cool it down and have another attempt as he crosses the line. It's a 104.5, that's, to me, it's on the edge.
Yeah, it's 3 tenths better than he managed on the soft tyres in Q1, but...
You wouldn't feel comfortable, would you?
No, not at all. But cool down lap and then go again, because he's on the medium tyres and they should have enough performance in them to go again, burn off a bit of fuel, might be able to get that down into the 104.2s. We have noticed is that with the Red Bull, it doesn't need to tiptoe, whatever tyre it's on, it doesn't need to tiptoe round an outlap quite as much as some others that are trying to preserve the life in their tyres. Max Verstappen quite happy just to get...
Emphasis he put on tyre warm-up, and he's on a 16.4 Hamilton, so he's only matched Perez in Sector 1, but he's went slightly quicker, as we can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Max Verstappen heading up the hill to turn 3.
Where he has been exemplary throughout this weekend, and he's already a 10th up on Lewis Hamilton, and that's a lovely right-hand turn at turn 3, just glided through that, didn't he?
And Perez is back out as well. Is he going for another attempt? Is he going to do 3 runs as Mercedes did in Q3 last time out? But Verstappen, you can obviously see Hamilton's done a 28.5. Who's that getting in the way? Tsunoda and Alonso queuing up to get some space.
He's getting in on the action, Yuki Tsunoda, so far this afternoon. Norris as well. So Sergio Perez, fastest overall first sector, not in the middle sector, third fastest in the end, about 3/10 of his teammate. He'll settle for that as Alonso goes 13th fastest. Alonso's time 104.8, 4/10 down on his best time in the opening session.
Wow, it's getting close, Crofty, isn't it? If you look at the difference, 4.5 tenths between the top 10. Actually, you can say Sainz, you would never have expected him to be P11. I know they're on the different tyre, but that shows you if you're just outside the window and you're not operating, you can't have the confidence. And I would think they're going to have to start on that dreaded soft tyre, because they're going to have to fit it to get their way through it, because you can't engineer a P11 start.
Well, that's what Aston Martin have done. They put the soft tyres on Vettel and on Stroll as well. Soft tyres too for George Russell. Lando Norris is now making his way out of the garage. So they're going to have to send Perez out. They have sent Perez out. Lewis Hamilton will be at the back of that queue of cars, I'm sure, because they're not going to leave Lewis Hamilton in the garage if everyone else is coming out.
And Ferrari have gone for medium again, so they've got confidence of going to improve. I mean,
that's a risk, isn't it?
It is risky. I can understand why Verstappen's going out in another set of mediums, because he's got that lap time on the board, and all he needs to do is improve. And then why would he go out in another set of mediums? Because what that gives him, if he improves, he can obviously choose that set of tyres and go with it. If he doesn't improve, then he's got a set of tyres that's absolutely perfect condition.
I think this is Ferrari, so should have sorted itself out by the time Alonso rises over this crest and then doesn't see 6 cars in the way, all trying to get a gap, but he is going to get a little bit of traffic, and he's been held up by the Aston Martin there of Sebastian Vettel, who was starting his last lap, and I think the stewards are going to have a look at that. Alonso and showing his frustration there as he crosses the line. Gasly goes second fastest, Giovinazzi only 13th fastest. He is out of qualifying. Tsunoda goes into the top 10 with him.
Narrowly getting through, but it's just enough, and it's Ferrari that are going to be kicking themselves for that choice. But of course, they're starting P11 and P12, and they've got extremely good race pace.
They have got a free choice of tyres at Ferrari, and I think that's what they wanted.
Talk to me.
So currently P10, so we're through, mate. Well done.
Come on, boys, on the mediums. Yes. That's awesome. Nice one.
Judgment and precision there from, you have to say, one of the best qualifiers we've got in F1 this season.
Told you they...
What the I cannot believe it.
Me neither, mate.
...57 poles in his career, Sebastian Vettel. This is his 266th qualifying session, and he might put his hand up to say sorry, but I'm not quite sure Fernando Alonso's in the mood, Paul di Resta, to receive an apology just now.
No, there's no question Vettel will be getting a penalty.
Pick up the toe from Valtteri Bottas, and Max Verstappen will be clinging on to his teammate and trying to pick up a toe from him, and Red Bull can... Verstappen ahead there of Perez. So it's Verstappen trying to pick up the toe from Valtteri Bottas, and Perez desperately trying to get a bit of a toe from his teammate here. If it's worth 1/10 of a second, that could be the difference between 2 or 3 grid spots around this lap.
Massive, absolutely massive. And you can see how they're all spread out in the track. There's a little bit of a gap between Bottas and Hamilton, and then Hamilton down to Norris.
Is the track cooling down a bit because it's more cloudy?
Negative.
Well, if it is, it's by fractions of a degree. Fifth doesn't even beat Lando Norris in the McLaren. That is another sensational lap from Norris. It's another provisional pole from Max Verstappen, who goes a couple of tenths further ahead and once again cements his authority around the Red Bull ring, and once again half a second clear of his teammate Sergio Perez.
Outstanding Lando Norris, outstanding on run 1. To be P2, lining up provisionally at the moment in front of both Mercedes works drivers.
He's never qualified on the front row before, Lando Norris. His two best qualifying performances have come here.
Just check the car over again. A lot of curbs used in the front two corners. So, yeah, okay.
Very calm.
Very calm. He knows he's taken a lot of curb, and that's maybe where some of his pace has come from as well. In the Styrian Grand Prix last week, and in the 10 years I've got on them both added together. Karun, to you.
And I'll tell you what, guys, if Norris does get on the front row, he will do Red Bull a great favour, because McLaren have got fantastic straight line speed. That's why he's quickest in Sector 1, 5k quicker than the Mercedes. That could be a real problem for Hamilton and Bottas to try and pass him in the race tomorrow.
You're right. You're absolutely right. What a racing prospect. Verstappen, Norris, Hamilton and Bottas the top four. Perez in fifth. Gasly ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Tsunoda ahead of Lance Stroll. George Russell, as expected, stands at the moment. But what have not just Mercedes, but Lando Norris as well, who is in the thick of the fight, got to try and put up some opposition.
Max is not interested in a tow. Lando Norris, he is interested in a tow. He told us that last week. But what Max will do is probably just do a faster outlap, as we see the Red Bull is able to do, and protect his tyre.
So maybe Lando Norris needed to come out behind the two Mercedes, but he's out on the track behind Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez behind Norris, then Gasly, Tsunoda, Vettel, Hamilton ahead of Bottas, Stroll behind Bottas, and George Russell, the 10th driver to come out for this final run for pole position. As Verstappen taking pole, it has been a sensational day. If you're wearing orange or your car is all dressed in orange, Verstappen on pole, Lando Norris on the front row.
Absolutely outstanding job, Lando Norris. But Red Bull, they are going to be so happy with this result. Verstappen P1, Perez P3, Lando Norris on a medium tyre, and that gap between them and the charging Mercedes at Hamilton, that is going to make a dent in their race tomorrow afternoon.
Wow, it could not have gone any better, could it, for the current championship